Good morning and welcome to United Voice, your Manchester United fan channel where we talk about everything Manchester United. Today I'm going to be talking about the upcoming fixture list, more specifically the amount of ridiculous games that the club have, that the men's team, that is being specific, have between April 2nd, so that's this next coming Sunday, and Thursday the 13th of April. Now, don't get me wrong, Ten Hag's done really well, I think, at keeping United in all the different competitions. So the Premier League, obviously, we're fighting for the top 4 spot. We're still in the FA Cup, and we're due to face Sevilla in the next round of the Europa League. So we're doing really well with a meagre, what I consider to be a meagre squad. What do I mean by a meagre squad? I'll get into that a little later, but let's go over this kind of first half of April, coming up, first half of April. So right now, in England, we've got the international break, so players have gone off playing for England and their national sides, wherever they're from, or some are just taking a rest. Example, Marcus Rashford pulled out of the England squad, and apparently he's in New York with his girlfriend right now, taking a little break. Who's to blame him? He's done well this season. But getting back to the upcoming fixtures, so a week tomorrow, so that's Sunday the 2nd of April, United face Newcastle United. If you're in the UK, you can catch that on Sky Sports, and kick-offs at 4:30 in the afternoon. But let's talk about Newcastle United, or Manchester United v Newcastle United. Obviously we beat them in the Carabao Cup final, but they are, to them you would say they're wanted, their big prize they want is that top 4 spot, to be in the Champions League next season. While the Carabao Cup is a worthy competition to win, I think for any top flight club in the Premier League or anywhere in Europe, the Champions League is the prize, to be in it at least. And Newcastle, whilst they've not been on the best run of form of late, they'll be up for this game. What with Tottenham, kind of not in the best vein of form, and Liverpool too, maybe Newcastle could be considered the front runners for that 4th spot, or challenging even for 3rd with us, with United. So, I mean, in my opinion, it's kind of like we could treat that game as a final again. Well, I think going back to like the early 2000s, or Ferguson's time at United, Fergie's time, I think he did used to say that every club that United play against, especially English clubs, treated playing Manchester United like being in a final. So everybody raised their game against us, which meant that level of fitness, dedication, and just being on form for the Ferguson's United squads was much more important. Now, what's happened in the last decade, kind of that fear factor that teams had for United, which made them those that could raise their game, has disappeared. Thinking about it, that you just have the feeling that might be coming back, that might be returning. What with the purchase of the likes of Martinez and Casemiro and Malacia and Ericsson, and not so much, Anthony, he has contributed. A lot of people give him bad press, but I think he's doing quite well. So I really do think that Newcastle United are going to raise their game against us, because that game for them and us for that top 4 position, or one of the two, third and fourth, is of importance to us and them. I personally believe either one of us will finish third and fourth. Now, looking at the table right now, okay, we have a slight advantage, but as I opened this video on, United have a hell of a lot of fixtures in a short space of time. So United have 4 games in 11 days. So that's like a match every 2 3/4 days, which is crazy. So we'll go through the list. So we got Newcastle United on Sunday the 2nd. You can watch that on Sky Sports. They're then back again on Wednesday. So that's 3 days later. That's against Brentford. Again, you can watch that on Sky Sports. Kick-off times at 8 p.m. in the evening here in the UK. And then another 3 days, again in the Prem, we've got Everton. That's a 12:30 kick-off, lunchtime kick-off. And then we return to the UEFA Europa Cup. And we're playing Sevilla in that first leg. Obviously that'll be on here in the UK, that's on BT Sports, and you'll be able to watch that at 8 o'clock. So let's just talk about each of these clubs that we're facing. So Brentford, they've kind of been in their return to the Premier League. In my opinion, they've been a bit of they've been a surprise package. They beat us early in this season, when Ten Hag was just getting his feet under the table, really. So I don't hold that against Ten Hag. I personally don't think that there was much he could have done there. Teams weren't fearful of us at all, and would come at us full bore. So attack us from the start. Had no fear, and at that time we were still really having confidence issues as the majority of the squad that Ten Hag started still had confidence issues from last season. So I think losing to Brentford at that point, whilst being a United fan, we don't want to lose to Brentford ever, or to anyone, but it happened. I think we can now say that we're a completely different side to the one that lost to Brentford. Yeah, we had a little bit of a wake-up call in the loss to Liverpool, but wake-up calls are good, for both the players and the manager, because ultimately the manager, you don't want people to get carried away thinking a little bit of success means you've made it. It's like Ferguson always used to say, take every game at a time, and they were just off the pace that game, and I think everybody got rattled once the second goal went in against Liverpool. That was it, and the writing was on the wall for that match. But I think against Brentford, yes, there'll be no Casemiro, but I think Ten Hag needs to find a way to do something to make a difference. Now, whether that's, this isn't a very popular point that people make, that is put Martinez as the holding midfielder. Yeah, why Martinez as the holding midfielder? Did you know he's not always been a central defender? He actually has played in midfield. And I just like to test his versatility. I mean, I don't want to go back to having what some pundits call McFred in the centre of midfield for that game. And I'm not sure if Eriksen is quite ready to come back just yet. So maybe we could Malacia on the left, Shaw left of centre, with Varane right of centre, and then Wan-Bissaka or whoever else on the right. You know, I don't think that's a bad. I mean, you could try. There's no harm in being a little creative with the squad that you have, and I think we really do. Ten Hag really does need to find a way to overcome the loss of Casemiro somehow, because without him we do look a little fragile, and hopefully, you know, whatever happens with the ownership of the club, and then ultimately the finances and in the transfer window, we can address that. You know, we can find someone who helps fill that gap, especially if Casemiro's going from a period of 500 odd games in Europe with no red card and then coming to the Prem, and getting red cards. Well, at least, you know, he's got 2 so far this season. So maybe there's a bit of a learning curve for Casemiro and what he can and can't do in the Prem. But that's a whole different video and a topic of discussion, which we will talk about in the future. On to the next game. So Man United versus Everton on Saturday the 8th. Everton have done well under new. Yeah, so Everton, they're doing well. But I just don't fear them. I know late last year, we did have a shocking 1-0 defeat to them. But personally, I don't fear them. I think United have too much for Everton. Everton shouldn't be a threat. But like for every game, United need to be on top. And I'd like to see us start to control games, especially against sides like Everton, who rely on physicality and a lot of, mixing up the play a lot more. There's a very more physical game, which is an odd thing to say for modern day Premier League football. The way it's refereed these days and some of the laws that have entered the game of kind of trying to almost remove physicality from the game, I believe. Anyway, you can watch Everton on BT Sport at 12:30 on Saturday the 8th of April. On to the next game. On Thursday the 13th of April, we're back in the Europa League. Obviously we're facing Sevilla. Now, when that draw, you can see one of my earlier videos. When I watched the draw live, and for whatever reason, Sevilla won. I think it's because they weren't one of the clubs I wanted us to get. I just thought they could be quite dangerous, having won the competition multiple times in recent years. I just thought we could do with avoiding Sevilla, along with Roma and Juventus. And obviously, we were the first number out the hat as such. Manchester United, oh no, who we're going to get now? We could get anyone. No one else has gone. And straight away, Sevilla. But having created that reaction video and then had some time to digest that fixture, what it might mean, and looking back at Sevilla's current run of form, I think, we'll have Casemiro. Casemiro seems to be the key player at the moment, and whilst I think he's a great player, I think Ten Hag needs to address that. We can't be relying on one player to make us kind of somehow solid in the midfield. Well, anyway, so I do believe that if just like any of the other games that I've mentioned, if United turn up on the day, and try and control the game rather than allowing yet another side to dominate the majority of the first half of a match. And then have chances, and that's like Liverpool. We let them dominate that first half of that game. Well, they dominate the whole game, but the pattern is clubs come to us or we go to them. They dominate the game, and in the first half they have the chances. Most don't score, and we bag one or two in the second half. Take some chances. Now, I think we just need to learn. Ten Hag needs to get the side to learn how to control the game. If you go back to Ferguson, always going back to Ferguson, but obviously we're going to do that. We're going to compare everyone with Ferguson and Ferguson's sides. He knew how to control the game, take the pace out of a game, inject pace into a game. He knew how to have his sides create space for each other so they could play in, and how to manipulate another side and where the game would be played and dictate that around the pitch. It's Ten Hag's first season, so he can't have everything, and I just think there's a hell of a lot more work to do, not just from buying players, but from getting those players we have now to just be a little bit more mobile, so less static, and I think mix the way we play a little bit. So to wrap up this morning's video, so we'll have Sevilla on the 13th, which I was saying that due to their recent run of form, I'm not, as long as we turn up and we can prevent them from taking control of the first half of the game, and we can actually go at them full bore, I think United will get through. I think we'll win that first leg by at least 2 goals, and obviously then we'll take them to Sevilla. We'll go back to the city, as such, as I call in the title of one of my previous videos, and I think we can control that tie and potentially get through to the next round. Now, if you look at the screen, I've got the games there, so it looks like we're going to be away against Newcastle, and at home against Brentford, against Everton, and for the first leg at home against Sevilla. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but to me that's what it looks like. So we're away for one of those 4 games, which take any of those sides to Old Trafford, and I think, whereas it's not I don't think we can really call it a fortress again just yet. I think Ten Hag is helping to bring some kind of respect on the pitch back for the side. Now, I'd like you to comment below, share your thoughts about anything I've said, or if you think I've missed anything. Because for the channel's quite new, and I'm trying to, I'll take ideas and comments and suggestions. Obviously, as long as they're, you're friendly, because at the end of the day, we want to try and represent and build a community, represent the wider Manchester United community, and give fans a voice. There are plenty of channels out there doing the same, but I want to put a kind of the United voice sparkle on it. Let's create something, something where we can all have a say, and nobody's opinion is pushed down or called rubbish. Well, that's it for this video, but I'm going to carry on creating content. Hopefully you enjoy it, and you can smash a like on this video and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon.